Hey beauties, good evening to you. So I had done a video a few days ago or yesterday in light of an island called Maui, or a former capital of Hawaii called Lahaina, was burnt down, burnt flat to the ground. I think how my video came across, it seemed as if it was the entire Hawaii, and that's how I had gotten the information, not understanding that it was a city in Hawaii that was burnt down because of the very dry and hot summer and strong winds. So I suppose it created that wild fire, which I call the Armageddon, the apocalypse, even as some would dub it. Or I would just put it as a final judgment day, since God will be coming by fire, no longer by water. And beautiful people, we need to pray for these people and pray that, that refuge in every way comes to them. Because when the reality really sits in and they realize, oh my God, we're all burnt out, everything is gone, we're now going to have to start over. Not only that, or not, additionally, the number of lives lost in such a horrendous act. I mean, I suppose the day before, if anybody had asked them if something like this, would they ever dream of something like this happening, I'm sure they would have said no. It's devastating, when lives are lost in such a heinous way. Just even lives being lost, but in such a manner, it's awful, it's horrific, to be burned that way. And I want people to use these things as a benchmark, as learning to let go of things that we don't need to hold on to. The bitterness, the anger, the malice, because you will see somebody today, it's not a guarantee you will see them tomorrow, and it can be loved ones. Now, if the person it's not significant to you, it's neither here nor there, but we're talking about people that can be significant. Let us even look at that guy that was crushed by the trailers. I think the 45-year-old man, I don't know if it is somewhere in Portmore or, at the port, driving home and lost control of the vehicle. I don't know if he was speeding, if he was drunk, if he fell asleep, was stressed out emotionally, psychologically, mentally. I don't know his condition. Crashed into the vehicle, crashed into the trailer, turned over and crushed him to death. To death, beautiful people. And I'm sure his loved ones figured he would have come home that very same day. And he didn't. He did not. He died in a heinous manner, in a horrific manner. And I'm saying, beautiful people, I know we hear this, but we have to find a way to practice it more. Cultivating good attitudes is a practice daily. It may seem fake, it may seem false, because it's not natural to the flesh. It's easy for you to do bad. You don't have to tell yourself to get angry when somebody does you wrong. You don't have to tell yourself to not get too sexually craved and crazed, so to speak, when you're in that mode, when your sexual juices, because the flesh is, it's a part of the flesh, it's a part of who you are. But to do good, to be meek, to be mild, to forgive, to not have bitterness, to not have guilt, to not be envious or have jealousy in malignant and malicious ways, to be self-controlled is something that you have to just practice. Just as how if you might not like what we call good foods, healthy foods, nutritious foods, sometimes they may not taste the way that's palatable to your taste buds. Although these days they know how to do some quantum things that make the vegan and vegetarian and healthy organic foods to taste good. But generally they don't taste good. But you break yourself in the habit to just train yourself, especially if you were somebody who had gotten a diagnosis. I've heard people saying that automatically they just have to change their nutrition, and what they eat, their daily habits, until it now becomes a part of them. If they try to break from it, it feels very weird to the body. It's the same way we need to train ourselves to be good. We can't do that outside of the Holy Spirit. We can't do that outside of God. No matter how you try, you will try, but you're capped at a certain level. It's like you're probably here and you reach to this cap, but you can never go beyond. And when you go beyond, there is even bigger and greater blessings awaiting you. But we cannot do that outside of God. That's a prayer you have to ask God. You have to daily get up and say, Lord, help me to be better. You fall down, even though you might pray that, because the enemy is lurking to seek whom he can devour, to kill and to destroy. So you might pray today and it seems as if it gets worse. Don't stop praying. It could have gone worse today. Just say, you know what, still go and pray. And didn't display the right behavior and attitude, still gonna pray. Because beautiful people, we don't know what will happen. Look at what happened to those people in the island of Maui and Lahaina, which was, as I said, the capital of Hawaii at one point. When I saw the devastation, I said, oh my God, how awful. It's, like the entire place was bulldozed before burnt down. It was awful. So beauties, we need to try. Sometimes I'm scrolling, for example, TikTok, and when I hear this TikToker behaving a particular way over another one over whatever reason, and these reasons are silly, and you know what is going to happen, beauties? Listen to me. When you're older and you're more mature and you're thinking differently and you look back at some of those videos, you're going to feel a sense of regret and say, my God, I'm so sorry that I really found myself behaving this way. It's not as though you were teenagers. Some of the people that I come across on TikTok, they're not teenagers, they're adults, and with the way how they're behaving, and they're not understanding that they're sowing seeds that they're going to reap later down the road. It won't affect them today or tomorrow, but it will eventually affect them. We have to learn, because the world is already dark and gloomy and full of just negativity. Wherever you can squeeze in the positivity, do so. You may not get the accolades now, but eventually you will. And that is why Galatians 6:9 says, do not get weary. It means don't give up. That's what it means. You will feel a sense of weariness, but do not give up in doing good, because in due season, while you're here on earth, God will certainly reward you. Life is too short, beauties. And I'm telling this to myself because sometimes I say these things and I find myself slip sometimes. But you know what? I just pick myself up, dust it off, and I come again. So let us just try our best. Jamaicans have always said, let us do our endeavor best. You endeavor to do your best. So, you endeavor to do your best, and stop just looking at people and saying this person is this person is that in the negative. Get to know people for yourselves. Get to know people. I remember there was something I was doing and I saw somebody and I was, having a conversation with another individual and saying, this person seems so nice. They seem so docile, until I had to work with the individual. When I say work, do something, not necessarily in a work environment. And I said, oh my God. Just seeing a sort of volatile side to that person, I was quite taken aback. And I should not be, because it's humans. And the reason why I was taken aback, because I went with a perception because of how the person's outward appearances, that I felt that they were meek, mild. They certainly were not. In fact, I'm not even sure if the person is that way. It's just a form of, in the Bible says, a form of godliness, a form of looking because of how they look physically. Like how Jamaicans, when the person has natural hair, no jewelry, no makeup, and they have on a blouse and a skirt, and they just look pious in the eyes, they feel like that person is meek and mild and a Christian. And probably the person is just a devil at heart, a Jezebel at heart. So we have to learn to just minimize regrets, negativities. Remember the people in Hawaii. Remember that man who was crushed by the trailer somewhere. I don't know if it was in Portmore or Newport West, wherever it was. Remember, just think on these things and say, you know what? Let me sow seeds of righteousness, goodness, so I can leave a positive legacy for not just for me, but for my family and my children's children. Guys, follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to my YouTube